What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be trying something a little different, a little new for me. I'm going to be giving an overview and a tour of my collection and my setup. So without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start off here in our guest bedroom. I have two very large shelves that house the majority of my games in here. And I always build my own shelves for my games just so I can get that perfect fit. So most recently I finished this top shelf here just last week and got that put up. I added it onto this older shelf that I had built, one of my original shelves for my games when my collection was much smaller, and it just so happened to fit perfectly when we moved into the house, so it was an easy decision to just put it on this wall and build it to the ceiling. So we'll start here. It houses my Xbox 360 collection. I have just under 500 games on this shelf, and as you can see here at the end, these are the unalphabetized ones, my most recent additions to the collection, but not very much space left. And I actually have a package in the mail right now that once I get it out, clean the games, put them in the collection, we will be over capacity. So, got to figure that one out. But that'll be a theme of this video, is that I do not have enough space. So we'll see how that goes moving forward, because the collection only ever grows. Alright, so I really do love the 360. It was one of the most formative consoles for me in my childhood during those late middle school, high school years. You know, a lot of memories with friends, either playing together or online. A lot of great games. I mean, this is where, you know, Minecraft was such a huge game for us. The 360 Call of Duties, games like Gears of War, and racing games like Forza, it all really just came together here for a wonderful experience. Now, up until a couple years ago, I didn't really library collect for the system. I just had about 100 or so games that I took personal interest in and wanted to play, so I just had them. And then I decided that it was the right time, especially because they're so cheap, to get into collecting as many games as I could for the system. So now we are at, once I get my new games in, it'll be just over 500, and there are about 12 or 1,300 total games for the system, so a long way to go still. So once we get to the bottom of that, then over here in this middle shelf, we have some of the PS1 overflow. I have more of those in the other room. We have my original Xbox collection. You know, not too many games. I do hope to grow it. I have some classics. Of course, the original Halos, the original Forza, you know, Crash Bandicoot, San Andreas. Just a couple of really great games. And then we get to our first bit of PlayStation 2. And another theme of this video is there are a lot of PlayStation 2 games, and I do not have a lot of space for them. So we'll see about that. Moving down, we get to the Xbox One, Xbox Series X portion of my collection. And as you can see, I just throw them all together. You know, I really don't love this, but there just aren't enough Series X and S games for me to justify trying to separate them. So they just all go into this together. I think I have about 250 of these games currently. Moving down another row, we get to the PlayStation 3. And originally during this generation, I actually had a PlayStation 3, not an Xbox 360. So a lot of these games are games that I originally had in my collection. You know, the Lego games, of course, all the Rock Band and Guitar Hero games. These are not alphabetized, I just have them on this shelf. So if we drop down again, we get some PSP over here too. If we go down again, we have all three of the PS5 games that I currently own, and then we get into some PS4. And again, with these PS4 games, a lot of them are games that I purchased during the generation and really just had a great time playing, but you know, my primary console was still the Xbox One. So then, after the PS4 section, we get into some more PS2. And this is just still PS2 overflow. And then we get over to here, and as you can see, we just have more PlayStation 2 games. And these are all games that I have no space for on any more shelves. So, that's that. Down here, nightstand, we have, of course, Pikachu, and then we have my little Sifu figure that came with the collector's edition. I absolutely love Sifu. I've played it to completion on the PS5, and then the Xbox One when that version came out. All right, so now we'll move over to the second shelf over here. And along the top, we have just some collectibles. We have my mini consoles for NES, SNES, PlayStation 1, a couple Funko Pops. You know, we got Overwatch representation up there. And then, so on here, starting with the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, this is all NES. So we have, you know, the Marios, Lynx, Mega Man, the Black Box games, Tetris, Ninja Gaiden, the start of some incredible franchises, and all of these games I make my own cases for. So, game goes inside, case gets made, goes on the shelf. This is a project I've been working on for decade, or over a decade at this point of collecting NES games. I've really slowed down recently. As you can see, I still have some loose games here that I either haven't been able to find the covers for to make, or just haven't gotten around to making them yet. So that's some overflow. Once we get past all the NES games, we get down to the Super Nintendo games. Not as many here. I think I still have under 50. It just doesn't grab my attention in quite the same way, but I do have a lot of the classics here. So again, your Marios, you know, Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country, the Mortal Kombats, F-Zero. So small but pretty curated collection, that one, I think. Down here, we have my pitiful pile of GameCube games. You know, I have some of my favorites: Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Smash Melee, of course. But they're just so expensive, and I haven't put much of a focus on rebuilding my collection that I, of course, sold to GameStop as a child. Next to that, we have my Switch games. So here are the oh-so-tiny Switch cases. I have a lot of, you know, Nintendo really instantly classic Switch games here. Next to that, we have the Wii U and the start of the Wii section. So we have some pretty good games here, and then we have some shovelware following. But I like Wii games because they can be very unique. I mean, you don't see a lot of these kind of games anywhere else. It's almost like mobile games, you know, nowadays. So, you know, you could find things like Cold Stone Creamery, Scoop It Up, you know. Not seeing a lot of that anywhere else, I don't think. All right, so then, what? We get past the Wii games, and we get into our fourth section of PS2 games. So here's some more PS2, all along here, all along the bottom shelf. Most of these are just random games that I've picked up. A lot of these I picked up for literally just $1. So they ended up down here for right now. And then I have just some miscellaneous stuff down here. The Wii U Smash Brothers Special Edition box. Had to go to Maryland to get this. Live in Pennsylvania. And then we have a Halo ammo crate down here. Oh, and then of course over here we have the Tony Hawk Ride new in the box skateboard. I got that for $5, and now it gets to sit here behind the door. So, I think that is a pretty good overview here. In this room, I think I would say I have probably about 1,800, maybe a little less, maybe closer to 1,500 games, and that is the, well, it's the majority of my collection, but we're not done yet. So, that's the guest room. If we come out and then go over into this room, this is our office, my fiance and I. So we'll start right in the front. I have these shelves. I have a couple different things on here. You know, up here we have the mini arcade cabinets. We have the Funko Pops, the PlayStation and From Software ones. So we have Last of Us, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Ghost of Tsushima. And my Starfield patch back there. Moving down here, we have the Godzilla corner with a little cameo from Boba Fett there. And then we also have some Fast and Furious, some Star Wars, a Mortal Kombat 2 poster. Over here we have my two biggest fans, my number 1 fan and my number 2 fan, of course. All right, over here, my pride and joy, my nearly complete Nintendo 64 collection. There are just over 300 games in the North American library for the N64, and I have about 275 of them. So these are all alphabetized from 007 GoldenEye all the way down to Yoshi's Story down here and everything in between. I have some of the big hitters, but none of the very expensive games, none of the games that go for over $200. It is a very long project that I've been working on, and I'm nearing the end, but of course, the further you go, the slower you go, just because the games start to get so very expensive. All right, moving over. This is my desk. This is my current setup. So I've got the Series X and the PS5 ready to go, always at the same time. They're down here and here, and ventilation, I know, but always keep the door open. Usually aren't running them both at the same time, so I'm really not too worried about that. Got Lucio, the main right here, always keeping me company. On the side shelves, also build all these shelves as well. Here we have my Amiibo collection spread out between these 3 shelves here. Also started collecting these, during their original releases at this point, 10 years ago. So, pretty cool. Got my Mega Bloks 360 here that I had a ton of fun putting together. And then just, a variety of different movie, TV, video game, anything you can think of, is probably represented on this shelf. We got Sonic, we've got some more Mario, we have a Winner Chicken Dinner, my PUBG heads over there, Minecraft, just all kinds of goodies. So this is where I do the majority of my gaming, and everything is right here. And then over here, we also have the 360 setup on the backside so that I can access that easily. This is a kind of a temporary thing, but again, don't have enough space. Oh, I forgot, once I came in here, down at the bottom, we have all of my guides, encyclopedias, and magazines. And again, this shelf is overcrowded, let's just say, so I need to figure that one out, but we'll get there at some point. So over on this, we have the From Software guides, so Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, the 2 guides for Elden Ring, we have Armored Core, and then we have the Dark Souls Compendium as well. Then we get into some more generic strategy guides here, all kinds, a lot of Call of Duties here. We move over to here, some more, just a mixture of guides and books, and a lot of encyclopedias up here, big omnibuses, keep track, and then also have some magazines too. A couple of Nintendo Powers here, mostly Game Informers, rest in peace. So that's that, and of course, it's not enough space, so we bleed over into this side. We got them over here, we got it here, we got them inside of here, and then along the back side too, just so many. And then, so the final bit of my collection is in this closet here. So we have my heavier hitters on my PS1 games, some classics like Spyro and Tomb Raider, 007 Racing, Time Crisis. And then we get into the majority of my PlayStation 2 games. I have currently over 500 PlayStation 2 games at this moment, and nowhere to keep them all, let's just say. So we go floor to ceiling with these 2, and what's funny about this shelf in here is I did all the measurements, and I built it, and when I went to put it into this closet, it was too big, so I had to cut it in half and put it in 2 separate sections. So I really don't have any great organization of these currently. Really, the only thing that I pay attention to is this shelf right here, and then kind of down into this shelf too, but just some of the classics and the games that I grew up with and care about. So, we got the Star Wars, Spider-Man, Sly, Jack, Ratchet, the Grand Theft Autos. I played a lot of Destroy All Humans and the Godzilla games, as well as games like War of the Monsters, Kim Possible, and Jaws. Those were games that were very important to me during my childhood. So, one more shelf on this side over here. All right, I think that is about it currently for the collection. I'm happy to get to show it off, and hopefully I can talk about some more stuff in depth coming up soon. So thanks for giving this a watch. I appreciate it, and you take care.